The United Arab Emirates is now ranked as the world's largest buyer of Russian gold. Sales have increased after Western-led sanctions were imposed on Russia over the war in Ukraine. The UAE bought almost 100 tons of gold last year. China and Turkey follow suit. Well, for more, we can go to Dubai. We're joined by our correspondent Bastien Borie. Bastien, to what extent are Russian gold firms getting a welcome in the UAE?
Well, simply because these companies are safe here, as the UAE does not cooperate with the freezing of Russian assets, and it includes gold. Around 100 businessmen linked to Vladimir Putin own dozens of properties here, and shops. Trade between the two countries, notably thanks to gold trade, has doubled over the past year and now amounts to $10 billion, with a number of industrial cooperation projects, Emirati investments in transport in Russia, in mining, in energy, and so on. So, you know, anything that is not specifically forbidden is allowed in the spirit of the Emiratis.
Some analysts say that Russia's Wagner group is involved.
Yes, it was part of a series of sanctions adopted by the U.S. Treasury against companies that, you know, in one way or another help the Kremlin in general, but this time more specifically Wagner, companies whose head offices, as far as these sanctions are concerned, are in the Central African Republic, Russia, and also the United Arab Emirates. We're talking of trading companies which have been targeted here in Dubai, and which for some time now have been buying tremendous quantities of precious stones, gold and diamonds in particular, in the Central African Republic, from mines controlled by Wagner, and then transferring part of the profits directly into the pockets of the Wagner group in Russia. In any case, it's a safe bet that other Emirati companies will be sanctioned in the future, and that this may end up having an impact on Wagner's activities, particularly in Africa and Libya, where the interests of Wagner and the UAE have sometimes converged, if you know what I mean.
Bastien, is there an element of risk to this for the UAE?
I don't know if we can talk about risks, but the gold firms we're talking about today are far from being the only ones. A few months ago, it was a company producing aircraft parts that was sanctioned here, as were other companies last year, all accused of sending funds or equipment, mostly electronic equipment, to Russia in one way or another. So the West is worried, definitely, that the UAE is becoming a hub for the shipment of items that can be then repurposed to help Russia's war efforts. So we're seeing more and more American, British, and European diplomats visiting Abu Dhabi these days to try to convince at least the Emirati leaders, who sometimes cooperate, sometimes turn a deaf ear.
Yeah, we can see there are efforts from the Biden administration to get the Gulf countries to turn away from Russia. It would seem the message isn't always getting through, though.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because, as I said, the United Arab Emirates is one of the very few financial centers in the world that has not taken any punitive measures against Moscow, and this explains why there is a big arrival of Russian expatriates here, and also people linked to Vladimir Putin, people who work in infrastructure, in real estate market, etc. So there's a big influx of fortunes here, and they're absolutely safe in the UAE.